Thanks for checking out one of our videos here. We've got a ton of videos on YouTube. I don't know how many, between 700 and 800 videos on YouTube, I'm guessing, as of December of 2021. All kinds of things, how to work on things, how to test them, how they work, review videos. We also work in cattle scales and low bars as well. Mostly Gallagher and True Test. Those are the two brands that we work on more than any of them. But anyway, so if you got a fence charger you'd like to send us, welcome to send us to us. There's our website, or well, one of our websites, but there's our address as well. Alright, so the note on this, I don't know, it said won't pulse or something like that. Well, anyways, this is Gallagher B280. They made a B180 and a B80. They're all basically similar case, just the B80 had less features on it than the 280 and the 180. They share, well, they don't share a lot of parts on the inside anyway. So let's just pull this apart. Well, this big old capacitor is all blown to bits, so that's definitely bad. Case. All right, well, see, I got that plastic rubbery sealant stuff. We'll cake on it. All right, well, how old is this unit? It is a 2007 model based on when it was built, so it's got some age to it. Got the old style brown transformer. They got away from those a long time ago. They started using kind of a black see-through case one. So we'll take this capacitor off, or this big charge capacitor off first. This is a 20 microfarad capacitor, so we'll check it first. Just it's easy to check. Should read 20 on the dot if it's good. 19.6, so that's good enough. Let's pull this transformer off. Got to be kind of careful with these old brown ones, and they made a red and a blue and a green one as well, and a black, solid black one for different models that have this sort of layout. And these older ones are kind of painted like this. They stopped painting them and made them in a clear shell that was just dark, you could kind of see through it. The paint would make these things brittle, and sometimes they would crack. I'm going to leave it on the board, but I'm going to pop it off of here. Less than chance of it cracking and breaking. And where it would crack and break at was usually little tabs where everything plugs on at. Because transformer, it will unplug from this board. This is a separate part from the board. So what we need to do first, we need to desolder and pull this capacitor off. I wait for the solder iron to heat up. It went into standby. Mine solder iron, after, I don't know, 20 minutes, if it doesn't detect anything, heating up, not heating up, whatever, it shuts off. It goes into standby, then it'll turn off, turn it back on. It takes forever to heat back up. I think we're ready. All right, let's find out where the solder joints are for that capacitor. Looks like they're this one. I couldn't tell you why exactly that capacitor blew up like it did. Maybe transformer or lightning, who knows. I don't think it would have just blew up just for the heck if I think something caused it. So I'm going to pull this off. And luckily, it's like it took two different ones there. It took a 2 microfarad and a 4. This particular one took the 4. So let me go grab another capacitor to put in there. Looks a little slender than this one was, but the rating on it's exactly the same, except it is for a higher voltage. This is 400 volt versus 250 volt, which is what that one was. So this handles a little bit more voltage going to, so maybe whatever happened to it, maybe it won't happen again. Alright, so we'll solder this back in. And this failure on this thing, it may be more wrong than just this, but this isn't like a common thing to happen. You know, there's all kinds of faults that these things can have. And capacitor, it's supposed to be 30. Out here, I got another capacitor. It's not in inventory, so you can switch it in. Only thing you have to,
so you can't read either one of them.
only thing you have to do is you have to plug the wires and use the. I'll get you some. Use this wire.
That's what
Okay. Well, because I did one the other day that had a thin Zeriba wire on there, and something would keep cracking and making weird sounds.
I haven't been using it for a while. Sure.
Another thing sometimes people will ask about is they'll pull it apart trying to fiddle around with it themselves, and they'll take things out, and they'll have a fuse that's kind of floating around, and they'll, where does fuse go? Because it has a fuse right here on the bottom of this little green box, and they have a spare fuse hiding right here. There's this little compartment right here, and the transfer sits over all this, and it keeps that fuse from moving. So if you ever pop one apart and the fuse falls out, like, where the hell does fuse come from? It goes right there. This kind of slides in there. So we're gonna. Oh, another thing we got to make sure is we got to get this. Got all these little knobby teeth on it. There's little orange nubs on there, and you got a little bit longer one out of all of them. There's a little bit longer one, and that goes into this little notch right there. And the way I do it is, when you have this switch in the front to the, whoops, there goes the fuse. We get this switch in the off position. That puts that notch at the 6 o'clock position when you have this thing open up on the inside. There's that fuse. Slides right in. So on this, there's this little line right there. That's the same position as what that is right there. So just turn it and get that long stem. Make sure it's straight, not bent and curved or anything. And make sure it's lined up, that little line there. That way, everything is lined up when you go to put it back together. So off is off, on is on, and so on. So then we line these tabs up here. A little groove right here. This little piece comes through. Seat it down all the way. There's a capacitor. This doesn't have a polarity to it, so it doesn't matter which wire goes to which tab there. It sits in this little groove right here, two little saddles that kind of hold it in place. So let's might be lucky, and this might be all that's wrong with it. So let's hook up a power supply to it. All right, get the power supply turned on. We'll reach around to the front side, and we'll turn the switch to the on position, which is the first switch spot. Hey, it's clicking. And all the lights are lighting up underneath. Can't really see it from here, but so now I'm going to take the tester, and we're going to test the output. It should probably be around between 6 and 9,000 volts. What the hell was that? Oh. 0. See, the needle's not moving on our gauge. So we got a transformer issue. Alright, so it doesn't matter. Pull this transformer off now. Man, that transformer looks fine. Well, let's go get another transformer for it. Funny thing is, I didn't know I needed one, but I didn't have any. And so when I was placing my order for some parts, I ordered a couple transformers for this type of model. So here's what the new transformer looks like compared to the old one. See, it's the same shape and everything looks identical, but you can see it's not. You can kind of see through it. And that was that's one of the changes that they made, because this dye or where the heck they dipped it in, paint or something, would make them brittle. But that's probably original from '07. See, there's no sticker on there. Besides that little sticker, there's no big sticker on there. See, the replacements have this big sticker on there, so that way we know that this is the original transformer from 2007. So 15-year-old deal. The transformer finally quit. So I'm going to guess that lightning probably hit this thing on the fence side. Fence and ground side came in, messed the transformer up, and hit that capacitor right there all at once. That's probably what happened. All right, so it's still turned on physically, but let me turn the power supply on. Clicking along like it's supposed to. Let's test it again. See if we get good reading out of it. There it goes. So shit, we're getting 10,000 volts out of this thing. So now we're working like a dream. So probably lightning is probably what got this one. So this one's working fine. We are good to go. So we'll slap this back cover back on, blow out the grime out of it. Put this, snap it back together. So light flashing on there. This does have a row of lights on there. 2 red, 2 yellow, 2 green. It's like a fence performance gauge. And this on the battery version, like this one is, when you first turn it on, it shows all the lights. And after about 10, 12, 15 pulses, whatever, it will show whatever top light it can reach depending on what your fence load is. So if your fence is pretty clean, it should go all the way in the green, top green. If for some reason it's got a pretty heavy load on it, it might go in the yellow or the red, but still click. And it will, so if there was a load on it, it might click, and it might be only in the yellow clicking a light, not the green. So this tells you at a glance how good or bad your fence is based on what it feels hooked up to it with the grass and shorts and the fence and stuff like that. But these are pretty good little units. We don't get them in that often. Occasionally, let's see, we fixed the board versus replacing it, and had to replace the transformer. And the capacitor tested perfectly fine. So this unit's ready to go back to work for another hopefully 14 years. So, well, that's basically it for this little video. We're gonna box this thing up, get it back to the customer, and move on to another one. So until next time, we'll see you guys later on. And remember to subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you later on. Bye-bye.